Oh,
Oh my God! Wonderful start.
vulgar, creepy Americans.
Okay. So, for those of you tuning into this video, I haven't uploaded a video on my channel in forever. However, today I am joined by a good friend of mine, Joe.
Hi.
This is Joe. I'm not actually. I should have checked, but have you been uploading recently?
No, I haven't really done anything in a while. Like I said, I've kind of stepped back. I'm going to reevaluate my channel. I actually haven't played WoW in months now, so doing anything on a Warcraft channel really doesn't make any sense. So I got a couple ideas of relaunching, so to speak.
See you, Jack. All right, that's my brother. I'm not cutting
Jack.
that out. Can't be asked. Okay, so, but for some of you guys who might want to know, I met Joe through World of Warcraft videos he made back during the Mists of Pandaria expansion. Actually, your Rare Guides specifically. And we just became, pretty good friends since then. Joe mainly plays Overwatch nowadays. I know you main Reinhardt.
Ryan, yeah, actually, I've been playing a lot of Diva, but yeah, Ryan seems to be the one I have an knack for. I think it's anger issues, wanting to swing a hammer violently.
Whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole.
That's right. Oh, you look like that customer I talked to the other day. I hated that customer.
Okay, so Joe, since the question came from you, would you like to tell people exactly why we are here today with this video?
Yes. Okay. Well, obviously, Sean's YouTube name and Twitter and everything is Sean of Nintendo. He's obviously a big Nintendo fan, so he tends to tweet a lot about Nintendo stuff, and he's very hyped for the Switch. Which obviously anybody that's a fan of Nintendo is going to be hyped for any new hardware game and whatnot. So he's been talking about that here and there. And myself, I mean, I'll go into a little background real quick. Just I've been a Nintendo fan since I was a kid. I got my first NES, when it launched. I even got that big entertainment pack with like the Rob robot and all that stuff way back in the day. And I love Nintendo, love all the all of their games, first party games and all. And so when I had a Wii, I got a Wii a midnight launch. I never got a Wii U. But when Switch was announced and talked about, and of course they had their press event, I was very interested to see what they were going to do, what direction they were going to take. And so I had my feelings based on that. And they differ from Sean's, let's put it that way. And so when he's been talking about how hyped he is for the Switch and everything else, I kind of want to understand, because I would love to feel the same way, but unfortunately I don't. And so we figured what we do is have a conversation just for our own benefit, but also record it and see if
what we get out of it,
what interest it might have to other people, and it'd be an interesting debate either way. So yeah, that's basically how it came about.
Also, if you guys do end up enjoying this, Joe actually used to do a podcast series himself on something on World of Warcraft. So if you like Joe's voice, you can go back and watch those videos, because they were rather entertaining and really nice to have running in the background. So interesting.
Yeah. I want to get back into podcasting as well. That will cover the other topics that I tend to. I mean, basically what I'm looking at, instead of focusing on one game like I did with World of Warcraft, I'm just going to start doing, kind of let's plays and live streams of various other games, and
like
Overwatch as well. Yeah, whatever I feel like playing. So it just gives me more room to wiggle in terms of my interest, because I never thought I would get bored of WoW, but I'm just not digging the new expansion, and so it leaves this big gaping hole in terms of making any content. So
okay, so I'll try my best to answer this question. Keep in mind, guys, none of this is scripted. This is purely just topical debates, and I guess it's more of me trying to justify it. Why am I so hyped for the Switch? Well, it has been I'm gonna say 5 years since the Wii U came out. Okay. Don't quote me on that.
Right, I'm not sure either.
But it's been a while. Wii U, was a fine console. I got it day one. A lot of people wish they didn't get it day one, because you'll notice that a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, why get a console day one? They have, such a quote unquote small lineup." Most people are saying, "Oh, people are only getting the Switch because Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild." Now, let's take Breath of the Wild, and let's take Steam, for example. Imagine Steam came out with a console where they only sold Steam games on. You couldn't play Xbox games, you couldn't play PS4 games, you couldn't play Nintendo games. They just made their own random console, and they said, by the way, this one console is the only console you can have to buy if you want to play Half-Life 3. Mm. Suddenly a little peak of interest comes in there, if ever Half-Life 3, became a thing. And
Right.
that kind of mentality is what's kind of going into Breath of the Wild right now. Breath of the Wild was supposed to have been released within the Wii U's lifespan. And it is getting a release on the Wii U, yes, but this became one of those games where people started to believe that it was never going to be made.
Right.
It was taking that long for Nintendo to do it. They were spending a lot of time. They were justifying, oh, look, we spent a lot of time making sure the horse doesn't run into trees.
Right.
And we were like, oh, woo.
Right.
And as the launch came closer and closer and closer, you see every single time the Switch was talked about, it was Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild. The very first time they even announced the Switch, the very first trailer they gave, Breath of the Wild. So it's guys sitting down playing Breath of the Wild. And then they showed, oh, by the way, Skyrim is going to be on it. And it's like, oh, okay, so third-party support and blah, blah, blah. So I'm excited personally for the Switch. My first original excitement was just purely the masses' excitement of Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild. Right. And that still is true. And then when they came out actually showing, okay, here's all these cool things that the Switch is going to have, like, the detachable controllers, the multiple ways of playing it, finally the adaptation of a universal means of charging it rather than something proprietary. It showed a lot of Nintendo finally getting out of this comfort zone that they've always been in. They've always had this way of like doing things their own way and locking things down very tightly. And they're doing that way less. They're still kind of doing it. But they're doing it way less with the Switch. So yeah.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Interesting. See, I think I look at things much differently than you. I mean, you look at the Switch, you've got the Joy Cons. Those are just two Wii remotes for the most part. I mean, let's be honest. So I don't see any real jump in anything there. You've got the portable screen that the Joy Cons attached to. I mean, that's just Wii U had a portable variation where you could go from the TV to the portable. I can't even remember what they called that now, but I mean, it's basically just a tablet kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a variation of that. But my biggest problem, I the more I look at it, and I go back and forth, because when the Wii came out, it wasn't the most powerful system, and that's not something that's ever interested me. It doesn't have to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to graphics and everything else with Xbox and PlayStation. While it would help, that was never my thing. My thing was always about the games. And they made the games work within the Wii. I mean, even having the Wii Play that came bundled with it was fun to play. Me and my family at the time spent tons of time playing the tennis, playing the boxing, all that stuff, just goofing around. Then playing like Mario Party, I think it was 8 at the time, within the confines of the new system and the way the control worked. It worked very well. But it was still a bit of a novelty. And the problem is now we've got the Wii U, which is very similar with motion control, and the novelty in my mind has worn off, and what people really want are just good games. I mean, one of the reasons I think the Wii U didn't do too well, because people were just kind of sick of the whole Wii thing. And of course now they've gone to a Switch. They've gone away from the Wii kind of moniker, and then kind of line of consoles.
Hmm.
But it's still basically the same thing. So again, it comes down to the games for me.
Yeah.
And my issue also comes into the fact that while Nintendo fans will get into the games for the most part and be a little more forgiving, mainstream gamers aren't going to be so. They've
Hmm.
already got their PlayStation, they got their Xbox. They're going to play a lot of those big games on that.
Hmm.
If they're going to get another system, it's going to have to be for something that Nintendo has that those other systems don't. They're not going to play third-party games on the Switch. They're going to be there for the first-party games. And
Exactly.
that's where
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good point.
frustrated
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you've got Breath of the Wild at first, but you don't have another significant uh, first party game until Mario till October, November, whatever that is launching.
I
And
would
that's
almost
even
say,
considering
sorry.
ahead of a Mario game too. We
Uh-huh.
don't know how well that's going to play. I don't know how well that will do. It was very very odd seeing Mario out in the real world like that. I'm sure it'll be fine, but being that we have no hands-on play with it, we don't know if that'll
Right.
even work or not. So
Yeah, I
that's
will
my
say
concern.
definitely. You are right about the third party support. Um, if one of you guys want to know, there's a one of the FIFA games. I wish I did more research before I did this video, but a FIFA game. I don't care much for FIFA.
Right.
A FIFA game is coming to the Switch, and this is something I have to definitely agree with you on. Um, third party games have done and have been in the life cycle of like Microsoft and Sony for a
Sure.
long time now.
Hmm.
And you're like, okay, Nintendo's bringing them in, cool. Um, it's a very weird zone with third party support with Nintendo consoles because any kind of AAA title, the thing you want most for that is as much horsepower as possible. Like,
Yeah,
you take
it helps.
Assassin's Creed, you
Hmm.
take any kind of big open world esque game. Um, a lot of people play those games because yes, they're fun, but I think more people care about how pretty they are a lot of the time. Which is why when it comes to the Switch, yeah, it's got a better graphics processor than
Hmm.
consoles before, but it's nothing to match like the Xbox One right now.
Right.
But and sorry, by the way, sorry if I keep like if I rail from topic to topic at any point here. You are definitely right about the whole party support thing. I don't think it's going to do fantastically on the Wii U. I'm not even going to justify that one.
Well, we have history to that. I mean, in the
Yeah,
Wii, it
definitely.
didn't do anything. I don't know what the did, but I'm pretty sure it didn't probably do very well there. But I mean, the
Hmm.
Wii U didn't even succeed very well as a system, and that's why as much as I come off as I'm railing against the Switch and I'm a little cynical about the Switch, is because I'm concerned because the Wii was fine. It did its job and did well. The Wii U, in all for all intents and purposes, is seen as a failure.
Yes.
Now we get the Switch. If it struggles, I'm worried about because I've like I said from the NES on, I've been a Nintendo fan, and it it, it worries me a bit
Hmm.
that they may have another issue on their hands, and we've seen what happens when that happens, and that's the thing. Genesis, the Sega had the Genesis, everything was fine, but they did finally decided, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and just make games. We're just going to focus on our characters, focus on our games, and we're not going to make systems anymore. I'm afraid that's what we're going to see with Nintendo. But in a way, I'm almost not too concerned because if they do that and focus on their games, that's kind of what we care about most anyway. Now, it would be weird to play a Nintendo game on an Xbox or a PlayStation or
Yeah.
something like that. But it was also weird playing, and still is, playing a Mario game on an iPad.
Yeah.
It
I.
seems to me like they might be like dipping their toe in the water and seeing how that goes, and that's what makes me nervous. It's kind of like them saying, hey, we've never ever done this before, let's see how it goes, and if things don't work out, maybe we'll just start making games and not systems anymore.
Hmm.
So
On the topic of the Wii U failure thing, I had a lot of my friends, and I think this was actually a pretty common misconception. A lot of people thought that the Wii U was an accessory for the Wii.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
it and they thought
Naming
the
it that way
tablet.
was a weird idea on their part. I'm not sure why they went that
Mm-hmm.
route. To me, it sounded like the University of the Wii. You know, it's like you like the Wii was the high school, and all of a sudden you graduated and you went to university.
Welcome to Wii University.
That's what it. That's what I said. Wii U. I'm like, that's what?
Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
So
how I saw it. I'm like, why would you do that?
so this is a topic I actually want to touch on. So the Wii U was not advertised well, if at all.
Yeah, true.
I found out about it because I pay close attention.
Right.
But that was probably the only reason why. Now,
Hmm.
you take the reverse, you take the Switch. I would say, even if you're not definitely not being a Nintendo fan, you know, people are aware that the Switch is coming. I would
True.
say a lot more than they did the Wii U.
You
So
know what I
that
think helped that, honestly? Just to interject real quick, I think the NES Classic little mini thing that they had that came out the end of the year,
oh yeah,
I think that brought more attention back to Nintendo. That it brought
I would
some
agree.
people that wouldn't have thought about Nintendo and hadn't thought about Nintendo in a while. I
Hmm.
think that got them to start looking it up, and all of a sudden, now they're finding other Google searches coming up with something called the Switch.
Hmm.
So,
But there's an interesting side of this. So there's a YouTuber I watch called Arlo, and this guy, uh, the character this guy in these videos, he looks like a character from Sesame Street, like a little hand puppet thing.
okay,
But this is very entertaining to watch. He does like very smart videos, and he's been doing a lot of discussions about the Wii, or not the Wii U, sorry, the Switch. But he made an interesting point about spoilers recently.
okay,
So this guy he considers himself a spoiler phobe. He's been doing everything to avoid trailers and stuff like that. And it actually
okay.
did get me thinking that, okay, yes, the Switch is being advertised greatly. They're showing all this cool stuff from the new Zelda game, which, is really the main focus for everyone right now who's getting a Switch. And it didn't even really occur to me, just from the sheer amount of advertising, how much of the game has actually been spoiled.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's unfortunately mainstream. Even with movies, they do that these days, which sucks.
Exactly. Like the first thing that came to my mind was when they actually released the movie trailer for Dumb and Dumber 2.
Right.
I saw the ad for it, and the ad finished, and I was like, that would have been a funny joke.
Right. Yep.
Like, and if I'm not going to say anything for anyone who hasn't seen Dumb and Dumber 2 and
Sure.
has somehow managed to evolve the advertisements, I'm not going to say
Right.
anything because
I'm
it's a
assuming
funny
it,
movie.
it has something to do with a younger lady.
Well, it was like they spoiled the very first scene.
Right. Right.
The
Right. Yeah.
very first
Oh, that's right.
scene.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's yes. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
I saw that in an
Yes.
ad. I was
20
like,
years. Yeah.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
why would you show that?
Right. Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, and this is what bothers me. And I say this all the time to people because I see people, and I know this is a bit of a kind of a jaunt off of what we're talking about, but I'll make it quick. I see people getting hyped about trailers on Twitter all the time. I saw the new Beauty and the Beast trailer. I'm so hyped. You haven't seen the movie yet. You've seen clips and you see like, oh, that looks just like the cartoon. You don't know if it's anything like the cartoon yet, except for it's called Beauty and the Beast and it looks like it. They could totally screw it up. And that's most of the time, like you're saying in the case of Dumb and Dumber 2, they put all the best stuff in there to get your ass in the theater because they got your money already at that point.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
care what you think after that. If they make the budget low enough and they know for a sequel that they're going to get a certain amount of people coming back because of the original, if they keep that budget low enough, they know they're making a profit. They could give a fuck less if you like it or not.
But like, so this brings me to an interesting thought. Was like, okay, we're getting these bigger games coming out recently, Breath of the Wild and such, and I think one thing that's going to be interesting to see going forward is the way they try to advertise games in the future, because the way they're doing it right now is spoiling too much.
Yeah.
The recent trailer that they brought out for Breath of the Wild, while by the way was a kick-ass trailer, I watched it multiple times because of just how amazing it was to listen to the music. And then I didn't even think about it until I watched Arlo's video. Was like, oh wow, they showed a lot in that trailer. Like they showed you Zelda, they showed Gorons, they showed Zoras, they showed those what else bird people I can't remember from Wind Waker or something like that. They showed the Koroks from Wind Waker around the Master Sword. They showed the Deku Tree. I'm like, holy shit! Stop showing me all this stuff.
Right.
I'm like, I would have been amazingly surprised to see the Deku Tree in the game. That would have been like, oh shit, the Deku Tree's back.
Right.
And then it pretty much confirmed, yes, Ganon is in Breath of the Wild. And like up until then they hadn't really showed the villain. It's just like this huge world, but like you know so little about it, which is what's great about open world games is the less you know, the more excitement there is. And then they just like they showed the big castle and then they showed Ganon. I'm like, ah.
Yeah. No, that's unfortunately, like you said, I mean, that sucks for the game, but I mean, that's on all as a whole is becoming a real big problem. And with the internet, you know, with video being so readily available, they seem to try to oversaturate because people's attention spans are so quick that they almost forget the trailer as soon as they see it. So they're like, "Hey, look," and it just gets to be over. Yeah, exactly. Bunch of monkeys like.
For those of you watching, by the way, guys, I know this video might have been intended to get to the point of like why the Switch.
Oh, we're getting there.
And we are, yeah. And so sorry if anyone thinks we're going off topic or any point, but the main point of this video, the main point of this video is just to kind of talk the Switch and everything around it. And so,
it's all pertinent. I mean, we're talking about movie trailers and whatnot, but also it plays into the trailer, like you said, for the Switch for Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild. Let's face it, I mean, it's a key component as to what, you know, at least the launch of the Switch. So yeah, no, all this is all pertinent. It's just a matter of, again, it's context to understand where we're coming from personally on. I mean, like you said, one of the things that's bothering you, and that does play into the Switch, whether you're buying it, obviously you are, but somebody else may turn around and say, you know what, I've already been spoiled on this game now, and I don't want anything else out of my Switch until maybe Mario comes out, because I'm not buying a Switch to play 1-2 Switch or
oh my god,
nobody is.
I was watching videos of like people playing the cow milking game.
Oh my god.
Yeah, where you hold the Joy-Con and you go
I'm so glad I have not seen that. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, do you know a YouTuber called Blunty?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, and he got invited to one of the events where you got to play the Switch, and he was playing 1-2 Switch, and he's just there with one of the guys in the booth playing the cow milking game, and he's just like, yeah,
see,
oh yeah.
See, weird little games like that. And 1-2 Switch in particular was something that really kind of boggled my mind, because it so screams that it's just like we play. It's a bunch of mini games that show off what the system can do. Let's face it, that's really what the game is. That should be bundled with the system.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Not only because it's costing people money to actually go and buy it, but because it would behoove Nintendo to have something there that as soon as they open the box, they could set it up and start showing people how awesome the system is. Because now at this point, you open the system up and maybe you can go to the Wii shop or, you know, get some games downloaded that way and whatnot. But there's nothing that really shows what the system can do, like something like 1-2 Switch. And
this is an interesting. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is an interesting topic to touch on, actually, because for those of you who might not know, like Joe was saying, you usually always get like Wii Sports and stuff like that bundled with the Wii U. You had Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land was bundled with the Wii U, and that showed all the cool little things that they could have done with that gamepad. And he's like, you're right. 1-2 Switch does the same thing. However, 1-2 Switch is a €50 game or $50 game. It's not. Excuse me. It is not worth €50.
Right, and that's the other thing too. It does kind of bother, and then that'll lead me into another topic in terms of. But yeah, that's another thing that bothers me about it, because you're basically charging people full price for a game that really is a demo reel for your system. And like I said, it would really be in Nintendo's best interest I mean, everybody loses money when systems first launch. Just throw that in there so people can really get. I mean, if you want to get the hype going,
Yeah,
that'll
yeah.
be a great way to do it. I mean,
And I
we
almost
Play
think,
did a huge amount of that for. I mean, you saw that everywhere. Hell, the We Play, the tennis was in Tropic Thunder when Matthew McConaughey was playing it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And if you make people buy it, they're not going to buy it. Therefore, the hype doesn't occur,
mhm.
and then you don't get good little advertisement things like being in Tropic Thunder.
I think, okay, so if you take the Wii U and the Wii with their bundles,
Mhm.
in comparison to what's happening with the Switch, I almost think the reason they did it was because they were probably thinking, we have enough people buying the Switch just for Breath of the Wild. You know, the Breath of the Wild is almost the Switch's Wii Sports at this point because of how many
All right.
people are buying it, and I think that might have been the reason why they did it.
What was the big launch title for Wii though? They had a
There wasn't
Mario.
one.
I thought they had
I
at
read
least
from my
no.
room.
They had didn't they have they had didn't Twilight Princess launch with it?
Yeah, Twilight Princess was almost kind of like a Breath of the Wild situation. It launched with the Wii U, but it was originally intended for the GameCube.
Okay.
So there was a
Okay.
version on the GameCube and it was a version on the Wii.
Oh, right,
And
right.
and the official
But it
Wii
did
Zelda was
launch
Skyward Sword.
right. So they did have a big title. See, that's what kills me. You've got a big
Mm.
title with Breath of the Wild, but you still need something to show off the system in a general sense.
And I do agree.
And
I do
but
agree.
I think the problem is honestly, again, it worries me because I see all these telltale signs. Is that they're trying to make sure they make money from the system. Wii U didn't make them enough money,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason I say this, the reason I feel like this is the way it's going, is because you've got 1-2 Switch being 50 euro, probably 50-60 bucks here in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and then so that obviously shouldn't be that much, but then you look at like the Joy-Con controllers. If you get a pair of them, it's another 80 bucks.
Yeah, I'm
The
glad you went
charging
to this topic.
station at the dock, or the dock set, is like 90 bucks.
Yeah.
Those are what really, more than anything, those kind of things worry me because people are going to feel robbed when they find out
Mhm.
they want to, because they I don't think anybody would ever expect those kind of prices, so they're just going to go into buying the system and go, okay, well, I'll just get extra pair of controllers or whatever later on, and then they
Yeah.
find out and it's like, holy crap. And it's like,
This is
to
a
me it feels like that's the way Nintendo's trying to make their money. They're really kind of more tight about their money this time, instead of giving away a game with the system and whatnot,
Mhm.
and then charging these kind of prices, and then charging for their internet as well, which is fine because you got, Xbox does the same thing. I guess PlayStation's now doing the same thing as well. um but then for a moment I'm like, hey, they're going to give you a free game from the Wii shop, or the eShop, for
Mhm.
you for subscribing or whatever else. But it's only temporary. You only get it for a month, and they take it away from you. And I was like, why? Why?
I'm really glad. I'm really glad you actually, because I was going to touch on this topic about the whole thing with like all these
Hmm.
accessories and the prices. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I put up a thing on Facebook, about a month ago now, where I said, okay, we have the Nintendo Switch, $300. Okay,
Hmm.
that includes the console itself, the dock, the AC adapter, HDMI cable, and your left and right Joy-Con controllers, and
Right.
a Joy-Con grip
Hmm.
for the things to go into. So you can buy a Nintendo Switch dock, plus an AC adapter, plus a HDMI cable, and a little bundle if you want to be able to use a separate dock somewhere else. You can get
Hmm.
that for $90.
Right.
So now this particular bundle is the most confusing one, and actually this brings me to a video Blunty made. So the dock itself is only really supposed to act as both a power and video pass through.
Right.
So you put it into the dock. It has a USB Type C. Hooray! Goes into the dock and uses USB Type C to both power the device and send the video out through the HDMI thing on the back of the thing into your TV.
Right.
So people were thinking, okay, well, oh, wouldn't it be great? Let's say if I got a USB Type C to HDMI adapter like thing, I'd plug it into the bottom of the Switch, which will probably cost me less than $90.
Right.
plug it into the bottom of the Switch, and then feed that to my TV so I don't have to buy a separate dock. It will run out of battery a little quicker,
Right.
but people are like, okay, maybe that's a cheap alternative. What's been found out is that the dock acts as a pass through, but there might be a proprietary encoder in there,
Right.
which would be the only reason why the dock plus all that would cost that much.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's just a pass through and an adapter and a cable, no reason
Right.
for it to be $90.
Right.
Now, you take the left and right Joy Cons. You can buy individually either one of them for $50 each, or a bundle for $80.
Right.
Now, this is another interesting one because this is, like you said, this is pretty much like buying individual Wiimotes. They're controllers for the game, and a lot of people are thinking, okay, maybe there's that price because of just how much quote unquote technology they packed into this thing with their HD rumble. I don't understand that.
Okay, I'm glad you're on the same page with me on that one. I'm like, ooh, ice cubes. I got ice inside my controller. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to buy another one because it's gonna melt and destroy it. Oh my god.
So all that in mind, with the extra stuff you could buy, means that the hardware that actually runs the Nintendo Switch, the console itself, is about $130 worth of hardware inside and that is your RAM, your processor, all that jazz, is about $130 worth of hardware. So that's just that's something to keep in mind. If any of you guys are gonna buy the Switch, it is not boom powerful by any means. It's actually using an NVIDIA processor pre-Pascal, so pre-GTX 1080 and stuff like that. Which, by the way, for any of you guys wondering, oh, why didn't they just choose the newer ones? Because not only are the new ones more powerful, but they're more power efficient by design. So it would mean that, cost effectiveness as well as, power consumption lessened. They had architecturalized and designed the Switch way before the GTX 1080 and 1070 were even being designed. So it was not going to happen. Just for any of you guys wondering, that's the reason why that happened. The Switch didn't just pop up like that. They had planned years beforehand while that technology was there, and they made it around that technology, not knowing that this was going to happen. Maybe they'll make a Wii Switch Plus, I don't know, with the better processors. Who the fuck knows?
Technology moves us so fast, and if you're gonna try and plan ahead a system, especially one that's trying to be innovative and everything like that, you're gonna get surpassed at some point in the planning stages.
So yeah, for any of you guys wondering that. Also, yes, the Pro controller is like what, $90.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, the Pro controllers. I see from what I'm looking at, Switch Pro controller is $69.99. So, but still, I mean that's more than I can't remember. It's around the same as like that really really good controller for the Xbox One, which I'm not sure.
Oh, the Elite.
So yeah, I was like, holy! When somebody told me about that, I'm like, are you kidding me? What happened to paying like $15 for a controller? It doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I got a knockoff like some third party one, and it still cost me like $25-$30.
Yeah, I bought an
what?
Xbox One S controller for like €50.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, it works for Windows 10, it works for another console, and it's wireless.
Right.
And I was like, that's enough features for me to justify that price.
And that's why I bought it, because of your ass who keeps telling me you're playing Rocket League with a keyboard. So I own this controller now to play Steam games because of you. So again, my PayPal for $30 if you want to go ahead and send that my way, because it is your fault.
It's actually kind of funny you bring it up, because a friend of mine, Brandon, plays with keyboard and mouse, and he's actually really good. So I can no longer justify that statement.
So you're saying my sucking had nothing to do with keyboard and mouse?
No, your sucking just had to do with sucking.
Oh, God. Just pour dirt in the wound, you bastard. But anyway, I'm about the Switch. But yeah, those prices do make me concerned, because you're starting to price out families and things like that. And again, to me, it seems like they're trying to make money there to keep themselves afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to shoot them in the foot. One of the
Yeah.
things that was great about the Wii was it was affordable, it was cheap, it came with a game which you could, I mean, again,
It kind
we
of hit the
play.
hardcore as well as the kind of like your family friendly market.
It was new, and what's great about the Wii was it worked. The Wiimotes, there wasn't like a lot of lag and things like that. The system just was fun. I mean, when we first got it, my ex had her grandma there, and she was, I don't know, 90 or something like that, and she couldn't do much of anything, but she was bowling all night long and she was having a blast. She probably hadn't actually like felt like she was bowling in 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome, but it was probably too much of a niche, and they probably wanted to expand and try and get more people. Obviously nowadays, on the go with iPads and everything else, they have this system that kind of parlays itself into that, so they're trying to be innovative but still get some people that may not be exclusively Nintendo fans. I don't know. To
Mm-hmm.
me, I feel like Nintendo either needs to play to their hardcore audience and play to them hardcore, or they need to try and go more mainstream, which would be basically just make another system, just like a GameCube or just like an Xbox, a PlayStation 3, or whatever else, not worrying about motion control and everything else, and just make the hell of a lot of a great first party games, which
Yeah.
I honestly would be fine with,
Mm-hmm.
because those are what people really want. And I miss having a lot of great, who wouldn't want another great Metroid game? When was the last time we had a great Metroid game?
Touching a sensitive topic there, my friend.
I'm sorry.
I was
So
like,
sorry, but I'm glad I did.
I was like, you could say any other character. You could say any other character.
Hey, after the Rocket League comment, fuck you.
Okay. I have to go. I have to go on to this topic now.
Okay. Here we go.
He's right, and you're absolutely right. I'd love for Nintendo to top-notch prioritize first party, and I think they're kind of getting into that market, or they're kind of delving back into that a little bit better recently, because a lot of the games that they're going to be coming out with now, like with the Wii and the Wii U and whatever, I feel like because their games weren't so graphically demanding, and they weren't such huge games, they must have been easier to produce because of that.
Well, could be, yeah.
And you take Breath of the Wild. Now, don't quote me on this, but Breath of the Wild, from what I understand, has been in the works for 4 or 5 years or something like that.
Okay.
It's their first ever open world game, so that to
Right.
me kind of shows their inexperience in this realm.
True.
And then you take a game like Mario, a Mario game not coming at the launch of a Nintendo title.
Right.
I'm just like, there must be they must be struggling with this higher production value of these
That could be.
games, these bigger AAA-esque almost looking games at this point.
Right.
So that part of me sees that, and part of me is like, I is willing to give them a chance, because
Yeah.
although people didn't like the Wii U, I had it was pretty much a replacement Wii for me with the HDMI, and I was fine with that. So I think it's just, I really do feel like it's just Nintendo struggling with this pickup of pace, because they've never been one to care about graphics, really.
Right.
They have cared more about how fun their games are.
Right.
And I think
or even
people,
like internet connectivity, they never cared about that before either. So
Yeah.
their priorities were definitely on the games.
exactly. But it's pretty clear now that, people want these cooler quality looking games. I see a lot of people who will play a game that looks pretty with very little functionality in it.
Well, it's true, but you got to admit they've got to progress at some point. They've gone a long time, and the Wii wasn't HD or anything else, and HD's been around. It's not a new technology. At some point, you got to kind of get on board, at least with the kind of bare minimum of what people are expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But yeah, that's just a chance I'm personally willing to give to them. I think
right.
with how quote unquote big Breath of the Wild is, they're probably crossing their fingers really hard in hopes that this game is going to be enough to invest people within the console itself Now they're going to do stuff like bring out the virtual consoles because people love the virtual console.
Sure.
Being able to play the Super Nintendo on the Wii U was like, yes.
Right.
Got to play Super Metroid and stuff, and people are hoping, okay, will they bring in GameCube games? Will they bring in Wii games? Which
Or
they
even the
did.
DS.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you figure you got a portable system, so.
But actually, okay, I just realized that I was supposed to talk Metroid stuff here. I veered off topic
Oh,
without even thinking about it.
that's okay. We can go back to it because
Okay.
it's a sore topic with you, and I want to hear you. So fine.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. This is way off topic of the actual thing, but I'll talk about it anyway. Everyone who's
Okay.
ever watched any video of my channel knows that I love Metroid. There hasn't been a okay. Metroid Prime Federation Force was the most recent Metroid game to come out on the 3DS. Before that, 6 years ago, Other M came out. A lot of people don't consider that to even be a Metroid game. Personally, don't see why. I really enjoyed Other M. Lash me about that as much as you want, but it was fine as the game it was intended to be, and as a Metroid game, to me it felt like a three-dimensional Metroid Fusion, quite frankly. And everyone considered Metroid Fusion to be a Metroid game. So anyway, and then before that there was the Metroid Prime trilogy. Fantastic series of three games. Played all three of them on multiple difficulties on multiple occasions. It's just got so much replay value. And there wasn't a Metroid game on the Wii U. Oh well. And then with Metroid Prime Federation Force, is today the only Metroid game I have not completed. Because yes, it's a Metroid game, but nothing about it, for what I played. And okay, I played the first stage. Played the very first stage with a friend of mine. And even prior to setting up to the stage, I was like, "Oh my god, this game isn't going to have cool areas to explore. This game isn't going to have anything with like, oh, I wonder what's over here." It's a multiplayer game, a game focused on multiplayer progression through the game, and I'm just like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't know. Nothing about what was in Federation Force touched anything that made it feel like a Metroid game. Like Metroid Prime Hunters did a better job at that, and a lot of people didn't like Metroid Prime Hunters. I thought that was a fantastic game. I think
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
if they implemented a game like that on the Wii U, like the concept was so good. The idea of, okay, it's Samus, you still get your cool little isolation going through planets, but there are like these 5 other hunters, or 6, I can't remember, but there are these other hunters out there going after the same thing you're going after, and you might randomly encounter them on the planet. And I was like, oh god. that added this really cool sense of adrenaline to it, while not taking away from what I consider like what made a Metroid game, because you just had this utterly random boss, and when it killed you. By the way, if you don't know anything about Metroid Prime Hunters, the main objective is to capture these like crystal things. I can't remember what they were called. You needed like 6 of them, and the hunters are there trying to get that too. If you kill a boss and get one of those crystal things, and while you have it, if one of the hunters kills you, he takes the crystal from you, and you have to go hunt him down to get it back.
Right.
The plot MacGuffins of the game can be taken from you.
Yeah.
That was, and it happened to me one time. I'm like, oh shit, I can't progress through the game. I gotta go hunt this guy's ass down.
Right.
And it was such a cool idea. It's just, oh my god, the controls of that game on the DS. Oh, it just wasn't made for the DS. It wasn't made. If I could play that like I was able to play the original Metroid Prime games, like it would have. Yes. I'd say it actually probably would have been my favorite Metroid game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Prime games on the Wii with those controls were actually a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. But just Federation Force, it didn't touch anything. It didn't touch anything, and it's just a lot of it felt like a gimmick. Like, oh, okay, actually, here was actually the very first thing about that game that immediately made me know that I wasn't going to enjoy it. Metroid games do a fantastic job of teaching you how to play the game through playing the game.
Yep. All
So,
Nintendo games are really good about that, going all the way back to the original Zelda. But yeah, definitely good point.
so like a point that was made from this was you guys might know Ego Raptor. He did a sequelitis video on Mega Man X, and he talked about the Mega Man X intro stage where you're playing through it, and through every enemy you encounter and every cool thing that happens, scenarios in the game which play up to the game's story, but while doing that, showing you how to play the game. So you take Metroid Prime, for example. I had a friend of mine who did a first 20s kind of impression. He played the very first like portion of Metroid Prime. Now, this first portion of Metroid Prime is crucial to the story, but it sits you down. It says, here's how you scan things. Here's how you shoot things. Here's a scenario where you would have to use your morph ball. Here's a scenario where you will have to use your charge beam. Here's a scenario where you'll have to use your missiles. Here's the basic navigation of the game. You know, you're just weaving around places and stuff like that. Here's what a boss looks like. And then at the end of it, it takes all your equipment away. And it's just like, you better remember how to use that stuff because you're gonna need it later. And like he finished that part of the stage. By the way, this person Thomas, you know who you are. Finished it, enjoyed it, and didn't have to sit through a tutorial.
Right.
And that's what they did in Federation Force. In Federation Force, they said, okay, welcome to your mech thing and blah, blah, blah. And you had to sit through a 20-minute tutorial on how to play the game. And I'm just like, you're sitting in a confined, controlled testing area, effectively. And I just like, this, I'm 15 minutes into the game and I already want to stop. Like, right. I wanted to be able to discover how to play the game through the game. You know, if you show me a scenario, it's like, oh god, this guy's hitting me. I need him with my charge beam. Rather than, here's a target. Please hit him with your charge beam now. Okay, so that's my stance. I hope they make a Metroid game for the Switch, but it's not gonna happen for like another year, if at that. Because you see the forecast, they have things planned for the end of the year that we know are coming. Anything that hasn't been told that's coming isn't coming for a long time, boys.
Right. And that's a big concern I have for the Switch, because, I mean, a launch of a system is very crucial. And, I mean, obviously, even the first year is extremely crucial. And you've got 2 tentpole games with Zelda and Mario, and that's, as far as I can see, is it now.
What about Splatoon?
I was just gonna say Splatoon has its fan base. And again, to me, that's a Nintendo fanboy kind of thing. You're not gonna get a lot of people who are, who have no idea what Splatoon is or anything else, rushing out to buy a $300 system to get Splatoon. But there are people. I mean, again, you're a fan, and you're gonna buy those things because, I mean, it's a part of the Nintendo experience, for lack of better phrasing. But that's what worries me. I'm not concerned about people who love Nintendo buying Nintendo stuff. That's going to happen. That's base. That's what they need to count on. I want to see these things succeed in a larger realm, because I want them to keep innovating. I want them to keep making systems. I want them to survive as a gaming company, and until they're able to kind of woo people over that aren't Nintendo fans and make them fans, that's going to be an issue. And they did it a bit with the Wii, but they haven't done it since. And I'm afraid with the Wii U and now the Switch, it's going to set a bad precedence, and we're going to I
definitely understand that. I would say by release time, so March 3rd next year, will probably have the best gauge of what the hell's going to happen, because they have a lot of development parties lined up, from what we understand. One of them, which is Capcom, by the way. So Monster Hunter for the Switch, please. Whew. Okay. That like they have a lot of titles, which a lot of them in and of themselves could be system sellers, and they're spreading them out. I think because they're spreading them out between like this large lifespan, uh, I personally think it's a good thing. There's a lot of people who don't want to buy the Switch because they're thinking, oh, there's like such a poor selection at launch. But you take all those games at launch, and then Nintendo probably doesn't give you anything for a year plus. Uh, I'm kind of I'm kind of okay with them pacing themselves, because I know with given enough time with a Nintendo game, it will be good.
Right, but you yourself has said how long the system has been in development. My question is, if it's been in development that long, why are there not more games like a Metroid or other Nintendo first-party games? Why aren't those out there to help spread things out?
Mm.
I mean, why are we waiting for March and then all the way to like October, November, whenever Mario's coming out?
Yeah.
I understand spreading things out to a degree, but then, I mean, your selling point is Mario, is Zelda, is Donkey Kong, all these signature characters in games. Why aren't there more of them? And I mean, especially if you've been planning this long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you said Breath of the Wild being their first kind of open world and everything else. They've been doing this for about 5 years at least. That's
Yeah.
potentially what's been going on. That's all well and good, but I mean, if it's going to take you 5 years to make every Zelda game,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm okay with to a degree, because you don't want a Zelda game to suck, because they never have, for the most part. Not that I can think of anyway.
People will argue Skyward Sword, but I thought
Well,
Skyward Sword was fine.
right. I see. I don't really put that in the same kind of category as regular, because I mean that was a different type. I mean, it was purposely to be different. Um, but yeah, I'm fine with that. But yeah, there is a cost to that if you're going to take 5 years to make a Zelda game every time. In the meantime, you've got to have something else. And I guess this is kind of not something I intended to talk about, but it does. It would really help, I guess. Is one of the reasons people love Nintendo, of course, is because of retro gaming, because of the old games, because of the shop and everything else where they can play those old games. I wish those games would be more affordable. You're paying for like $5 for a Zelda, the original Zelda Nintendo game, which, frankly, I mean, you can download the damn ROM for free and play.
Yeah.
I wish they'd made those things more affordable for people to give them. I mean, in the meantime, while it is taking 5 years to make a new Zelda, give them a little bit more affordability to get a library going, making that system more valuable, because those games are downloaded onto that physical system, and give them other things to play if we have to wait for new original games. But they're still charging too much for those, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And my biggest problem really for just going to the 3DS was when I sold my 3DS. I had to wipe my system, and it wasn't like tied to my Nintendo account or anything, so I lost those purchases, which sucked.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you
So
mean.
so I'd like to see them make backwards compatibility more of a priority, I guess, because if you are
They are tying things to your account now.
well, that I had
Yeah.
heard, which is a
Yeah.
good step, obviously. But I'm going to say make things more affordable. I mean, if nothing else, put a Zelda bundle down on the shop. I know they have sales and whatnot, but I mean, put like a Zelda bundle for, I don't know, 20, $30. I mean, make it $50. Hell, make it the same as a regular game, or $60 or
Mm.
whatever they're selling games for, and include like almost every Zelda game there is, and
Mm-hmm.
let people buy that. Something just to. I mean, if it takes you 5 years to make a Zelda game, or longer to make some of these new games, find another innovative way to make your system valuable to more than just regular fans, But you could, in that case, you could also bring in older fans who want to do the emulation and everything else, but they want the experience of actually playing it on a console, on a TV with a physical controller, and maybe that would be a selling point as well. I don't think they market the eShop as much as they could. They mention it here and there, but if they made it cheaper, that would make my 3DS feel like it's a little bit more worth my time and my money.
Yeah. No, I get you. Whew. Okay, we're about to hit an hour. Okay. Is there any other topics we wanted to touch base on?
Not really. I mean, my main thing again, I want this to succeed. I don't want it to fail. As much as I'm cynical about it, and I'm personally staying away from the Switch very much so. I want to love it. I want to buy it, but I just don't believe in what they're doing.
So I think, I think, first off, for all you guys watching, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you getting the Switch day one? Are you skeptical about it? Are you worried about it? All that stuff. Anything we discussed. If you have any thoughts to share, leave it in the comments in this video. There will probably be a part 2 to this video, and that part 2 is going to come out after I've had my own personal hands-on with my Switch, and we can also go over any comments any of you guys might made, because like I said, this wasn't scripted. We did all of this off the top of our head, and we might not have touched on some topics that some of you guys think are worth bringing up. So if you have any of those, by all means, please leave it in the comments down below, and we will make part 2 of this video with those, and I'll have my hands-on experience. I think I'll probably at least need 2 weeks to dive my nose deep into Zelda Breath of the Wild, and give you guys my thoughts. And for all we know, we might have Nintendo haven't really been saying as much as they could be saying about the Switch this close to launch, but they've not always, but I trust them to start just randomly spewing information once everything is released. And if not, they don't. But we'll see about that 2 weeks from now, I suppose.
All I can say is let's screw making another video. If you guys have a question or to touch on, go ahead and just leave it down there in the comments and leave your phone number. Me and Sean will give you a call. We'll personally call you and do a little mini podcast for you. I'm kidding. Don't leave your phone number.
Okay.
I will prank you.
Okay. Well, okay. That was enlightening.
Yay.
I like that. Thank you guys for watching. Yes. Check out Joe's channel. I'll leave a link in the description.
Yes, if you want to watch like 3-year-old World of Warcraft content, my channel is the channel for you.
Actually, speaking of WoW, and I'll just so I can already dragging this out, I'm playing my like paladin tank right now, and like a while back, I got like a legendary pants for him, and I was like losing my mind because I got it from like a normal Vaulted Warden's boss drop. I was like, what the hell? And I was just playing on my hunter today. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do some emissaries on my hunter, legendary from an emissary drop. I'm like, right. I'm like, oh great, now I have to freaking gear this guy up to justify this legendary.
Oh god, that's how they get you, don't you know? See, they're tricking you. They're getting you to play and pay money.
Okay.
Don't get me started on Legion. I could go on.
I feel like I might have, but well,
another time.
I don't. For a different video, I'd almost like to know your thoughts on Legion.
I want to make my own for that. I wasn't prepared, but I'm just waiting for my technology to catch up.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It was very fun to record this and just to kind of get some thoughts off of our chest.
It'd be very interesting to see the reactions, because I mean, we were very opinionated. We were very about what we thought were, and like you said, we might have missed something. So I'm very curious to see.
We definitely missed something.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot to cover. So, but it'd be interesting, even just personally, to see somebody else bring up a point that we may not have thought of. So that's what these discussions are all about.
And one last thing to mention, because like I said to you guys, this is the first video I'm uploading on my YouTube channel in God knows how long. at this point. I'll be honest with you. This was fun. Like this
Well,
was
it's only because I was poking the fanboy
well
on
well
Twitter. I just kept antagonizing. You should have seen it. Originally, when we talked about it, he's like, "Oh, we'll do a video sometime." I'm like, "Okay, like when or something like that." And like 24 hours later, he's like, "Oh, I totally missed this. Here, let me talk about it again." But as soon as I was just like, "My God, this is with $300, and you're only going to get Zelda day one, and that's it," and everything, all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, you want to record tomorrow?" I got him so wound up. He was on fire. He was ready to just battle me verbally right at that moment. I could tell.
But
so yeah, that's why this video came about, because I just kept poking him with a stick.
But so the reason I bring this up for you guys, because I've just not been doing much. I think I'm gonna do a bit of personal digging in the realm of podcasts, actually. Because I'll be only honest with you, I don't know. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, guys, I'm gonna be a podcaster now." I'm just saying, video content that other people can enjoy, and I can make through relatively intelligent conversation and discussion. Sorry, Joe. I'm gonna leave this as a personal thing that I'm gonna start digging into. If you guys would like me to do podcasts, let me know. But it's something I'm gonna personally discuss on my own time with myself if I actually wanted to do something like this.
Talk to yourself. You're a podcaster already.
Yeah, but well,
That's
like
what podcasting is.
Doing let's plays, like doing let's plays was fun. But when I did let's plays, I felt so what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Isolated?
Not isolated. It's just like I felt like I had to put too much effort into trying to talk all the time.
To a degree, yeah, there is that.
And like I'm sitting down with the game in front of me, I'm like, "Hey guys, welcome to blah 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 part whatever of Let's Play whatever." In today's episode, blah 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 blah. And there'd be some points when I'm just like, "What can I talk about really quick?" And, thinking in the back of my mind. And it's nothing against Let's Players. It's just like something like this where there's other people to talk to and opinions to bounce off and topics to generate and just things to crunch your mind on, while at the same time making an interesting video that someone might just listen to in the background while doing something else. Okay, I'll leave it at that. That's just me grinding my own train of thought, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay,
Joe, thank you for taking your time to do this.
Sure, no problem.
And we'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Right.
Things are coming.
Yes.
Switch related things are coming for me, and I'm
He'll
taking
talk
that day
about
off from work as well.
Yeah, he'll talk about his experience with the Switch, and I'll talk about my experience not.
Well, I'll talk about my experience of Will right now.
I'll talk about my experience of watching other people play the Switch.
All right.
And getting those videos blocked or getting 20% to give to Nintendo.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you later.